Rain hammered the city like 1,000 impatient fists, drumming against rooftops, windows, and the hood of Lina Brooks' thin jacket as she sprinted across the slick pavement. Her shoes slapped the ground, splashing through puddles as she clutched the takeout bag tight to her chest. She was already late for the delivery, and if she didn't make it in time, the app would dock her pay again. She couldn't afford another penalty. Not tonight. Not with her sister waiting at home, pale and exhausted from another round of medication they could barely afford. "Please don't close. Please don't close," she whispered breathlessly to the doorman as she slid into the gleaming, gold-lit lobby of Thornwell Heights, the kind of building people whispered about. Rich people lived here. Old money, new money, the kind of money that never felt cold or hungry. The doorman looked up, startled. "Miss, are you all right?" "I'm fine," she panted. "Just need to get this upstairs." She hurried toward the elevator before he could ask anything else. Her fingers trembled as she clicked the penthouse floor. She glanced at her phone. The order slip was smeared from the rain, the ink blurred, but she could still make out. Penthouse 49 something. Was that a B or a C? She squinted. The rain had swirled the letters into dark little clouds. 49B, she murmured. "Yeah, it looks like AB." Her chest rose and fell quickly as the elevator carried her upward. She tried to steady her breathing, wiping rain from her cheeks and smoothing down her soaked hair. She hated showing up like this, wet, messy, smelling faintly of coffee and exhaustion. But deliveries didn't wait for good weather. When the elevator doors slid open, she stepped into a silent, marble hallway. Everything gleamed, polished to perfection. She hesitated, searching the numbers. 49A, 49B, okay. She swallowed hard and knocked. The sound echoed sharply. Inside, footsteps approached, slow, heavy, purposeful, like someone who wasn't used to being rushed by anything or anyone. The door opened, and Lina froze. Caleb Thornwell stood in the doorway, tall and sharp-edged like a sculpture carved from both elegance and ice. His charcoal shirt was perfectly pressed, sleeves rolled to reveal strong forearms. His dark hair was slightly mussed, like he'd been dragging his hands through it in frustration. And his eyes, cold, storm gray, landed on her with a mix of confusion and annoyance. "This isn't a good time," he said, his voice deep, clipped, and strangely tired. Lina blinked, heat rising to her cheeks. I'm sorry. I have your delivery." He stared at the bag in her hands, then back at her rain-soaked clothes. For a moment, he said nothing. His jaw tightened. "I didn't order anything." "Oh." Her heart sank. It must be a mistake. "I'm sorry, When she tried to take a step back, her foot slipped on the wet marble. Lina gasped, arms flailing. The food bag lurched. Caleb reacted fast, reaching out and catching her by the arm before she hit the floor. "Careful," he muttered, steadying her. She blinked up at him, breath shaky. Something unfamiliar flickered across his face. Concern? Annoyance at himself? She couldn't tell. "Let me see that slip," he said. She handed it to him. The ink was smeared into smudges. His brows furrowed. "This says 49C, not B. Oh my God," she whispered, mortified. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you." The rain. "It's fine," he said quickly, as though the word tasted foreign. She paused. Her arms still tingled from where he'd caught her. He dropped his hand quickly, stepping back as though burning himself on proximity. "You're soaked," he said, looking her over with reluctant attention. "You shouldn't be walking around like this." "It's part of the job," she said softly. "I'll head to the right penthouse." She turned to leave, but he spoke again, almost reluctantly. "The hallway is slippery." "Wait." He disappeared inside and returned with a clean towel. She shook her hands. "Oh, you don't need to. Just take it," he said, not unkind but guarded. She accepted it. "Thank you." He watched her dry her face for a moment, watching too closely, like he didn't understand why he was still standing there. "Who ordered the food?" he asked. Mr. Trent." Something cold flashed across Caleb's expression. Of course it was him. "You know him?" Unfortunately. She didn't know what that meant, but she didn't ask. She handed the towel back, but he didn't take it. "Keep it," he said. "You'll need it more than I will." She nodded gratefully and turned to leave. Then he called out, "Wait." She froze. "Yes. You shouldn't walk around the building dripping like that. It's dangerous. Come inside for a moment. Dry off properly before you go." Her eyes widened. "Oh no, I couldn't. I'm working. And this is your home." "It's 2 minutes," he said simply. "You'll slip otherwise." And that was how Lina Brooks, wet, overworked, and running on caffeine and fear, stepped into the penthouse of Caleb Thornwell, one of the most untouchable men in the city. The inside was breathtaking. Warm lighting, tall windows overlooking the storm, a fireplace flickering. It smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive and masculine. Caleb handed her a soft blanket. "Here." She hesitated. "I don't want to get it wet." "It's a blanket," he said, voice gentler this time. "It's meant to get messy." She wrapped it around her shoulders, shivering as warmth spread through her. He watched her for a moment, something unreadable in his eyes. "What?" she asked nervously. "You're shaking," he said simply. She laughed softly. "It's been a long day." He didn't smile, but something softened in his expression. "You work too hard," he said quietly. She blinked. "You don't even know me." "I can see it," he replied. "People who work themselves raw, it shows." Her heart beat faster, not from attraction, but from being seen. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. She looked down. The app warned her the delivery was overdue. "I really have to go," she whispered. He nodded once. "I'll walk you." Floors get slippery during storms. As they walked the hallway together, she noticed something. Caleb walked like a man who carried the weight of a world no one else saw. A man used to being alone. A man who didn't expect anyone to knock on his door at all, much less someone like her. At 49C, she turned to him. "Thank you, really." He held her gaze. "Get home safe." She knocked on the correct door, and when she glanced back, he was still watching her. Not annoyed, not inconvenienced, but curious. Like that one mistaken knock had cracked something open inside him, something he didn't yet know how to close. Lina's shift ended long after midnight. By the time she trudged through the wet streets toward her tiny apartment, exhaustion clung to her like a second skin. Her sister Mara was asleep on the couch, curled beneath a thin blanket, her breath wheezing faintly. Lina tucked the blanket closer around her and kissed her forehead. "Everything's going to be okay," she whispered, though she wasn't sure she believed it. She took a warm shower, changed into an oversized sweater, and tried to ignore the way her thoughts kept drifting. Not to the soaked delivery, not to the smudged slip, but to Caleb Thornwell. Those cold gray eyes that didn't stay cold for long. The way he caught her before she fell. The moment he hesitated before letting her leave. It wasn't love. That would be ridiculous. It was curiosity, or maybe shock that someone like him had spoken to someone like her. But why did her heart still flutter thinking about it? She shook her head. "Get a grip, Lina." She needed sleep. She needed rest. She needed money more than daydreams of billionaires. Yet even as she drifted off, she could still see his face. The next morning, she forced herself to forget it. She grabbed her apron, tied her hair back, and headed to the cafe. The morning rush was brutal. Customers snapping, mugs clinking, machines hissing loudly. Her hands shook from fatigue as she prepared lattes, taking deep breaths to stay focused. "Brooks," her manager barked. "Your break. Go before you drop dead on the counter." She nodded gratefully and slipped outside, leaning against the brick wall. The cold breeze stung her cheeks, waking her up slightly. She took a long sip of water. Then the cafe door opened. Her breath stopped. Caleb Thornwell stepped out of the doorway, sunlight catching the edge of his dark coat. He was the last person she expected to see in this part of town. People in suits didn't come here. People worth billions definitely didn't. He froze too, as if surprised to see her. For a moment, they just stared at each other. "You're here," she managed. His lips twitched slightly. "I needed coffee. In a place like this, I was in the neighborhood." She raised a skeptical brow. "Were you?" He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it either. Instead, he took a slow step closer. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. She blinked, thrown off. "Yeah. What? You look tired." His gaze swept over her face, not judgmental, but perceptive. Too perceptive. More than last night. She shifted uncomfortably. It's just life. Nothing I can't handle. He hesitated again. She was starting to notice that Caleb Thornwell hesitated a lot, like he was always second-guessing himself whenever emotions were involved. You shouldn't have to handle it alone, he said. Her brows knit. I've been fine so far. Fine isn't the same as okay. The words hit her harder than they should have. No one had ever said anything like that to her. Not her parents. Not her friends. Not anyone. She swallowed. Why do you care? He looked away briefly, jaw tightening. I don't know, but I do. Her heart thudded. She felt exposed, vulnerable under that sharp gaze. To break the tension, she joked weakly. You're kind of intense, you know. His eyes met hers again. So I've been told. The smallest smile ghosted across his mouth. It wasn't a full smile, just the hint of one, but it felt like catching a glimpse of a rare eclipse. So, she said softly, do you always check on delivery girls who fall into your hallway? No, he said instantly, and the seriousness in his tone stole her breath. Just you. A slow warmth bloomed in her chest, unexpected and terrifying. Before she could respond, the cafe door swung open again. Brooks! Break's over. She sighed. I have to go. He stepped aside as she moved past him, then spoke just loud enough for her to hear. You work too hard, he said again, and one day, your body will stop you before you stop yourself. She glanced back. Why does that matter to you? He didn't answer right away. His eyes softened, not warm, but no longer cold. Because I've been there, he said, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. She swallowed hard. That she wasn't expecting. Goodbye, Caleb, she whispered. Not goodbye, he corrected gently. Just see you later. She slipped inside, cheeks hot, heart pounding. But despite the strange, electric moment between them, she didn't expect to see him again, until she walked outside later and found him still there, leaning against his sleek black car, hands in his pockets. He straightened as soon as he saw her. Lina, good. I needed to ask you something. Her mouth went dry. Okay. He stepped closer, the city noise fading around them. You're going to say no, he said calmly. But hear me out first. That's extremely ominous. He almost smiled again. Almost. I'm working on a private project, he said. A research archive I haven't let anyone touch in years. I need someone to digitize files, organize materials, assist with some sorting. Nothing invasive. Nothing dangerous. Just work. She stared. You're offering me a job? Yes. But why me? His answer was simple. Honest. Because you need help. And I need someone I can trust. She shook her head quickly. Caleb, I can't take handouts. It's not a handout, he said firmly. It's a job. Good pay. Flexible hours. You can keep your cafe work. Or leave it. Your choice. Her hands trembled. Why are you doing this? His gaze locked onto hers, intense and unwavering. Because you walked into my life last night, and it made me realize how long it's been since I let anyone in at all. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. This is crazy, she whispered. Maybe, he said, but it's real. A long silence stretched between them. I don't know, she murmured. Think about it, he said softly. Please. She blinked. Billionaires didn't say please. Not often. Probably not ever. I'll think about it, she whispered. He nodded once. Then he opened the car door and paused. And Lina? Yes. If you say no, I'll respect it. Her heart raced. But I hope you won't. He drove away, leaving her staring after him, breathless and shaken. She had no idea then that this offer, this unexpected, impossible offer, was about to change everything. Lina spent the rest of the day in a haze. Every time she tried to focus on lattes, receipts, or ringing up orders, her thoughts drifted back to Caleb Thornwell, the billionaire who had offered her a job she hadn't asked for. She scolded herself over and over. This is ridiculous. You're a cafe girl. He's a billionaire. It's not going to happen. Yet the memory of his storm-gray eyes, the intensity in his voice, and that faint, almost smile haunted her. When the cafe closed that evening, she found herself walking past Thornwell Heights, almost unconsciously. The city lights glistened on the wet streets, reflections dancing across puddles. She slowed as she approached the building, her heart thudding nervously. The memory of last night and that morning mingled into a strange cocktail of curiosity and fear. She didn't know what she expected to find. Maybe nothing at all, but when she stepped into the lobby, there he was, leaning casually against the marble wall, coat still dark, hair slightly tousled. He looked like he belonged there, and at the same time, like he didn't belong anywhere at all. "Lina," he said as he straightened, eyes locking onto hers. "I wasn't expecting you." "Neither was I," she admitted, fidgeting with the strap of her bag. "You thought about the job?" he asked immediately, cutting straight to the point. She swallowed hard. "I did. I want to, but I have so many questions." "Good," he said with a faint, approving nod. "Ask away." She took a deep breath, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "Why me? There are plenty of people who could do this." "Because I can see something in you," he said quietly. "Determination. Integrity. You don't just survive. You keep going, even when the odds are against you. That's rare. And besides," he paused, and for a fraction of a second, his expression softened. "You're not afraid to show who you are. That counts for more than you think." Her chest tightened. She had never had anyone, not even a friend, say something like that to her. Not with sincerity, not with meaning. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say yes," he said gently. "Or no. Just don't waste too much time thinking. You'll regret it either way." The weight of the decision pressed down on her. She thought about Mara, the rising cost of her sister's medication, the endless bills piling on top of her already precarious life. And then she thought about the possibility, a small, tiny flicker of hope, that maybe, just maybe, this could make a difference. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steadier than she expected. His eyes lit up, just slightly, enough to make her heart flutter. "Good. You'll start tomorrow. I'll have someone escort you to the office." The next morning, Lina followed a young assistant through the gleaming hallways of Caleb's penthouse suite, past walls lined with abstract art and floor-to-ceiling windows that gave her a view of the city stretched out beneath her. The office was quiet, expansive, and filled with shelves of documents, old journals, and antique file boxes. Caleb waited near a sleek desk, his expression still guarded but softer than the first time she had seen him. "Welcome," he said, voice calm, but there was a flicker of something, warmth, maybe even relief. "Thank you," she said, still adjusting to the strange new world she had stepped into. He handed her a stack of files. "Start here. Organize, digitize, make notes. Take your time, but accuracy matters." For hours, Lina immersed herself in the work. She sorted papers, scanned documents, and slowly started to notice small details about Caleb's life. Letters from family, journals filled with careful notes, sketches of projects, plans that revealed a meticulous, brilliant mind behind the billionaire persona. Caleb occasionally checked in, leaning over her shoulder with an unexpected curiosity. "This one's mislabeled," he'd say softly, "or you caught that." Good. He never hovered. He never made her feel uncomfortable. But she couldn't deny that his presence kept her heart racing. By the end of the first week, Lina had settled into a rhythm. They shared quiet moments of conversation between tasks, sometimes about the work, sometimes about the city, sometimes about small glimpses into their personal lives. "You work too hard," he said one evening as she finished a particularly tedious batch of scanning. "I have to," she replied, shrugging. "Bills don't wait." "I mean it," he insisted, his gaze intense. "You can't pour from an empty cup. You've been pushing yourself too long." "I'm fine," she said, though her voice wavered. "No, you're not," he said firmly, his eyes softening. "And I don't want to watch it happen." It was that raw, unguarded concern that made her pulse jump. She looked at him, words caught in her throat, and realized that for the first time in years, someone saw her. Not just the surface, not just the work she did, but her fatigue, her struggle, and the weight she carried silently every day. Days turned into weeks. The work continued, each day drawing Lina and Caleb closer. They laughed over mistakes, shared coffee and quiet jokes during late-night sessions, and gradually, Lina noticed that he wasn't the untouchable, icy man the media made him out to be. He was human, fragile in ways he tried to hide, lonely in ways he could never admit. But just as their connection deepened, shadows emerged. Marcus Trent, Caleb's rival, had learned about Lina. He couldn't understand why Caleb, meticulous and reserved, would involve someone like her. One morning, Lina discovered articles circulating online, insinuating that she was exploiting Caleb for money and position. Her stomach twisted. She felt exposed, humiliated, and foolish. The whispers in the office corridors, the stares, the subtle smirks from strangers, it all weighed on her. Caleb found her later, sitting in the quiet of the office, staring at her screen, hands trembling. "Lina," his voice was low, almost pained. "They're saying that I'm using you," she whispered, her eyes stinging. You're not," he said quickly, cutting her off. "They're lying. Marcus is behind this. He's trying to hurt me by targeting you." She shook her head, tears spilling freely now. I can't be part of this. I wanted to help." "You were helping," he said, voice taut. "And I should have told you. I should have protected you. But I didn't. That's on me." Her body shook with relief and fear. Relief that he believed her. Fear of the storm that seemed to always circle around him. "I can't work here anymore," she whispered, retreating. "I'm sorry. I have to go." Caleb's jaw tightened, a rare glimpse of anger mixed with helplessness flashing across his face. "Lina, wait. Please." But she was already gone, heart aching as she pushed through the building, back into the rain-soaked streets she had grown accustomed to. And Caleb stood there, hands clenched at his sides, watching her leave. For the first time, he realized the cost of not letting someone in and the depth of what he might lose if he didn't act fast. Caleb didn't sleep that night. He paced the penthouse floor like a caged animal, replaying the look on Lina's face, hurt, embarrassed, betrayed. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw her walking away from him into the rain. He had lost deals worth billions before. He had faced betrayals, setbacks, and ruthless competitors. But nothing had ever twisted his chest like this, like losing her. By morning, he had already made calls, pulled strings, shut down articles, threatened legal action, and confronted Marcus Trent in a meeting that nearly ended in violence. None of it mattered, because even if the whole world apologized to her, he was the one who had failed to shield her. He grabbed his coat, ignoring his staff as he stormed out of Thornwell Heights. He knew exactly where she lived. He had arranged for a quiet security watch after she started working for him, though she never knew. But when he reached her small apartment building, the hallway was silent except for a distant dripping pipe. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder. "Lina, please. Open the door." Still nothing. He leaned his forehead against the door, breath shaky. "I need to talk to you. I need to fix this." "I can't," he exhaled, voice dropping. "I can't lose you." The door did not open. He waited there for nearly 20 minutes before he finally noticed the small envelope taped inside the doorframe. His name, written in her neat cursive. His heart sank. He tore it open with trembling fingers. "Caleb, I'm grateful, truly, but I can't live in a world like yours. I'm not strong enough to survive the storms that follow you. Please let me go. Lina." The letter felt like a final blow, soft, gentle, devastating. He closed his eyes, throat tight, and for the first time in years, he felt powerless. Lina, meanwhile, was at her sister's bedside at the clinic, holding Mara's hand as she slept. She had packed a small bag and left the apartment early that morning, unable to bear the thought of running into him, of facing her own confusion. She loved working for him. She loved being with him, if she was honest. His presence had become a comfort she never saw coming. But every time she let herself get closer, she was reminded of the ocean between their worlds. His power, his enemies, his responsibilities, they were too heavy, too sharp, too dangerous. "Mara," she whispered softly, brushing her sister's hair back. "I think I messed up. I think," her voice cracked, "I think I'm falling for someone who can't ever be mine." Her sister stirred, opening her eyes slowly. "Is it that guy who picks you up in fancy cars? The one with the sharp jawline and the sad eyes?" Lina blinked. "What? How do you? You get this look when you talk about him. Mara said with a sleepy grin. Like your heart is fighting your brain and losing badly. Lina dropped her face into her hands. He's a billionaire, Mara. Billionaire. Me. I barely afford rent. Love doesn't check bank accounts, Mara murmured. And neither should you. She squeezed her hand weakly. If he makes you feel safe, don't run. But that was the problem. Lina didn't feel safe. Not because of Caleb, but because of what being close to him attracted. Still, her sister's words lodged themselves in her heart. 2 days later, Lina stepped out of the clinic, exhausted and emotionally drained. The late afternoon sun warmed her skin as she adjusted her bag on her shoulder, ready to walk home. That was when she saw him. Caleb stood by a black car across the street, wearing a dark coat, his hair slightly tousled like he had been running his hands through it excessively. His expression, when he saw her, was raw, hopeful and terrified in equal measure. Her breath caught. She froze. He crossed the street quickly, stopping a respectful distance away, as if afraid she might bolt. Lina, he said quietly, please, don't walk away. Not again. She swallowed hard. Caleb, you shouldn't be here. I should have been here sooner, he countered, voice trembling with emotion he never exposed to anyone else. I've spent the last 2 days shutting down every rumor, every article, every threat. But none of it matters unless I fix the one thing I broke us. There is no us, she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. There could be, he said softly. If you let there be. She looked away, heart pounding painfully. You don't understand how scary your world is. I do, he said. I spent my entire life in it. And for the first time, I don't want to face it alone. His voice lowered, cracking at the edges. Not without you. Lina blinked rapidly, her pulse racing. Caleb, I care about you, he said, stepping closer, each word trembling. More than I ever planned. More than I've ever allowed myself to care about anyone. Her chest tightened. Every part of her wanted to dissolve into his arms. But fear still held her hostage. You think caring about me is enough to change everything? To erase the danger? No, he admitted, but it's enough for me to try. Silence hung between them, heavy and fragile. Lina breathed shakily, searching his face, really searching it. Behind his composure, she finally saw the truth. He was scared too. Scared of losing her. Scared of needing her. Scared of the one thing money had never given him. Connection. Why me? She whispered. Why not someone from your world? Because no one in my world has ever made me feel human, he said. Until you. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. Caleb reached up slowly, giving her room to pull away, but she didn't. His thumb brushed her skin gently, carefully, as if she were something precious. Lina, he whispered, come back. Not as my employee. Not as someone I need to protect. Come back as someone I want in my life. She inhaled sharply. Caleb, if I do this, everything changes. I know. He took her hand. I'm ready. Her heart broke open. All the fear, all the longing, all the emotions she had tried to bury surged upward. And in that moment, she realized something. The storm would follow him no matter what. But maybe she didn't have to face her storms alone either. She stepped closer, letting her forehead rest against his chest. His arms wrapped around her instantly, tightly, as if afraid she'd vanish again. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I, he murmured, holding her even tighter. But we'll figure it out, together. Lina closed her eyes and breathed him in, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong beneath her cheek. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. And as Caleb pulled her closer, his lips brushing the top of her head, she realized that her single, mistaken knock had changed not just her life, but his. The storm would come, but this time, they would face it side by side. Hey family, thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you in any way, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another emotional story. And before you go, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from.